Hey everyone, my name is PrinceBrightstar, and yes, I am a cast with a fedora jammed on my head. Now recently, Sega released a purchasable campaign skip for Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis, and as part of this, they reached out to me as a member of the community to create this sponsored video summarizing the story for their official YouTube channel. Whether you're considering purchasing the campaign skip or just need a refresher on the story, this video will give you the basics you need to know. And hey, before we begin, just know that my character and the motions it uses, including its dash motion, are not the standard ones. This is just one example of the many different characters you can create within the game. Anyway, let's jump right into the prologue. Pod 909 comes crashing down to the planet Halpha carrying your character, a Meteorn. Aina, a native Halphan, and Manon, another Meteorn, near the crash site are there to greet the player. You don't remember anything about your past. The group is quickly attacked by dolls, enemy of the Halphans. Garua, Aina's father, jumps in to help wipe the dolls out. After a quick glide, the group arrives in Aelio Town, a sun-drenched tropical paradise near the sea. After a quick history lesson discussing that the Meteorn support the Halphans and that the war with the dolls has been ongoing for 500 years, Garua invites the Meteorn to a beach party including food. This party, however, is interrupted by the arrival of a gigantic dolls. Though the members of the town fight back, in the end the Meteorn, Aina, and Manon flee the town at Garua's request. The town is wiped out. Manon puts up a shield to protect the group, saying they didn't think it would be this way. Everyone fleeing is knocked out. When the player comes to, only Manon is there watching over you, Aina having been taken to Central City, the capital, with injuries. You also make your way there, fighting a dolls unit along the way, and meet Crawford, the leader, once inside. Crawford says he's glad the group survived, and soon after, Aina appears healthy again. Crawford explains the gigantic dolls, known as Dark Falls, was the cause of a near-extinction event over 100 years ago, wiping out the capital city of the time. He tells the group to get some rest. The next day, Crawford asks the group to complete some basic training. Cocoons are trainia designed for this purpose, though no one knows who built them. At one cocoon, we meet the cast Dozer for the first time. After an assessment, Dozer thinks Aina is as good as the two Meteorn. He tells the player, Aina, and Manon, hereafter referred to in this video as the party, to report back to Crawford. Crawford informs the party there's a large number of dolls on Mount Magnus. The party and Dozer encounter a Noglith at the summit. Once the Noglith turns red, Aina freezes up, remembering what happened in Aelio Town. After the battle, Dozer has a chat with Aina, helping her realize what she's fighting for. Crawford says he's pleased with the group's performance. Later, the party meets up and Aina mentions Garua didn't want her joining ARKS. She had never asked herself why she wanted to join ARKS, she just wanted to. That brought out the fear in her. Manon pipes up saying she'll have her back, and the party will defeat Dark Falls together. When the dolls appear again, the party is sent to Vanford Ruins, while Dozer's squad heads for Rezol Forest. While inside Vanford, a loud roar is heard coming from Rezol Forest. Crawford calls all ARKS back to Central City, saying the Command Doll's next Aelio has re-emerged. A threat from 10 years ago, the party volunteers to go look for Dozer's squad. While inside, the signal with Central becomes jammed and next Aelio appears, Dozer closely behind. A battle commences, and once next Aelio turns red, Aina has the same feelings from before. After some words of encouragement, Aina's back in the fight, and next Aelio is defeated. When reporting back, Crawford says they're building a weapon to fight Dark Falls. Each ARKS has a limit to the number of photons they can contain, while this weapon, Central Cannon, will surpass this and pierce through Dark Falls. Crawford wants the party to act as liaisons to obtain the materials needed for the cannon. Shortly before leaving for the second region, Retem, Aina says they want to create a monument. This is a way to remember the people of Aelio Town. During the mission, Aina remembers where Garua and the others used to train, but Garua wouldn't let her train with them. Later, after defeating a Kvaris near the Aelio Town ruins, Aina finds Garua's weapon, and Aina decides to place it on the cliff above Aelio Town. In Chapter 2, Crawford explains ARKS and Retem are locked in battle, and the party needs to assist before the materials for the central cannon can be retrieved. The party meets up with a Retem City cast named Hadi shortly into the region. They provide directions to the city and continue on with the mission. Soon after, the party sees the Command Doll's Renus Retem for the first time. Inside Retem City, the party finds many people hurt, as well as Nadara, the leader of the town. We're also introduced to Jalil and Mohsin. It's explained that there's a repository to the north under attack, and since no one can be spared, Nadara proposes sending the party there to see their capabilities. Before heading out, however, Manon comes across a gravesite outside Retem City where Nadara is humming to herself. Nadara mentions the monuments list the names of those who have fallen. Upon returning, the Retem ARKS apologize for doubting the party's abilities. After learning that Nadara's family has the power of song, but for some reason Nadara doesn't, Hadi requests the party join him at Retem al-Nuth. After clearing out dolls there, Hadi goes on to explain Nadara doesn't use her power because when she sang the Song of War, her power didn't manifest. Nobody knows why, but Manon requests any data available. Retem City is attacked again, and everyone is gathered for a war council. A plan is devised to attack where Rennes Retem is located. Hadi shows Manon the records of the past battles. It takes a while, but Manon seems to find what she needs, as later that night she can be found humming to herself at the gravesite. After a brief chat, Nadara also joins the group, and she begins singing the Song of Mourning. Nearby photons and dead dolls' bodies react to this, causing Manon to realize Nadara's power is different. Her power is based on debuffing dolls, while her predecessor's powers were based on buffing arcs. This is tested the next day, and it has an immediate effect causing dolls to slow down. An attack is immediately launched on Ra Maquad, backed up by reinforcements from Central City. The battle leads the group up the dome, Nadara singing along the way, and once at the top, the group leaps inside to face Rennes Retem. The group is victorious and everyone welcomes the party and Nadara back in Retem City. Nadara pledges to provide materials for Central Canon and sees the party off as they make their way back to Aelio, ending Chapter 2. During your time playing New Genesis, you may have also noticed Nadara hosting concerts where she sings to an audience. The side story for Chapter 2 goes through the events that led up to her first concert, which includes an interruption by Rennes Vera. The Vera series of dolls represents regional command dolls that have been changed in some way. Usually they have a different elemental weakness. Between Chapter 2 and 3, Dark Falls attacks Central City for the first time. It's here, after we hold it back, that Crawford is able to fire Central Cannon for the first time at it. However, it doesn't work because Dark Falls puts up a shield as the shot comes in. Chapter 3 begins with the determination that Central Cannon was damaged when it was fired. As such, Crawford sends the party to Kvaris where he lost contact with Ilma, a friend who can help with Central Cannon. Kvaris was once the capital of Halpha, but was abandoned long ago. Shortly after arriving, the party's greeted by Mary, Ilma's little sister. After fighting off some dolls, they head for the lodge. Inside, they meet up with Kuka, one of Mary's brothers. There are 5 siblings in total throughout the region. The last 2, Tuli and Tyvis, are found in Belagana Ruins and Mistra Woods respectively as they search for Ilma. The siblings' parents died at a young age, and their grandfather Lysis passed away as well recently. With 4 of the 5 siblings back at the lodge, Mary thanks the party for helping out. A discussion of where Ilma might still be leads to thinking Ilma is at Lost Central, but that would be impossible because the doll's at the entrance. A moment of clarity overcomes the siblings. Supposedly nobody had gone into their grandfather's room since his passing, but now it seemed possible Ilma may have. Inside are various records including data indicating there's a side entrance into Lost Central. Everyone agrees to go check it out. After passing through a door, Ilma explains their way out was blocked by dolls and their signals jammed. Ilma also addresses the party's presence and the fact that they're here regarding Central Cannon. After a summation of what Crawford had previously explained, Ilma simplifies and explains there's a weapon inside Lost Central able to drive back Dark Falls. Further in, we locate the Lost Central Control Center. Once the power is back on, the party and the siblings help take out dolls that show up, including Am's Kvaris, the region's command dolls. Ilma downloads what data they can on Dark Falls and the weapon used in the battle 100 years ago. They also find a record from their grandfather Lysis. He states Dark Falls was still growing at the time and would grow into its complete form soon. Upon returning to the lodge, Mary provides some lunch for the trip back home. Crawford reaches out and thanks the party, requesting they get some rest once back in Central City. Chapter 4 begins on the wall of Central City. Manon seems concerned about the stronger form of Dark Falls. However, she also mentions Aina is stronger than when they first met. Manon is also concerned about the number of people that have and will die. Crawford, however, interrupts and orders the party to Stia now that it's been determined that is where Dark Falls is located. The plan is to fire Central Cannon once it's lured out. Though Crawford says there's no contact with anyone in the region, Orangé says they should be able to establish contact now. Though it's against Crawford's wishes, communication is established with Commander Glenn's group. He states he has no objection to the plan. The party arrives in Stia and are soon ambushed by Glenn's team. After a short fight, the second-in-command, Kanui, apologizes. Once everyone's in Stia camp, the party learns of the situation and the plan to attack 3 plants, the first of which is Drayson Plant. Inside, the party learns the smaller dolls are apparently coming from this plant. On the bottom floor of the plant, all the ARKs meet up and face off against a large group of dolls. It's at this time Glenn shows off his remorselessness against the dolls. Some ARKs also fall during this battle. Following this, the North Altera base is the next target. The party arrives after taking out a Dark McGill's, but not before almost losing another ARKS member to one of its attacks. Inside, the analysts indicate there's a complicated password protecting the lock. Manon works on the lock and manages to unlock it. Everyone prepares to assault the southern Dext base next. Manon mentions many are on their last legs, but Glenn counters, indicating there may not be another opportunity for this. After clearing up a good portion of the base, the command doll's Nils Stia appears, sending Glenn into a rage. An ARKS falls due to one of Nils Stia's attacks. Nils Stia runs away, and Glenn screams in anger, and many ARKS fall during the battle. Further inside, Manon opens the next lock, but nothing changes regarding the central barrier. There's one more to open, and with help from Ilma, the group is led there. Glenn, meanwhile, is upset over what happened. After Ina provides a meal, Kanui finally opens up about Glenn and Nils Stia. Nils Stia, 10 years ago, attacked Central City, and at that time, Crawford helped in the battle as well. While it was driven back, an ARKS named Hibana was lost, causing Glenn and Crawford to go their separate ways. With all the locks down, the party heads for Stia's nerve center, pushing towards Dark Falls' location. At the end of the path, they come across Nils Stia again, and this time, with the surprise help of Crawford, it gets taken down. During the fight, however, an ARKS fighter falls defending Manon, and she questions why they took the hit for her. In the end, Dark Falls wakes up, and everyone needs to escape. The fallen ARKS is left behind. Outside, Crawford gives the order to fire Central Cannon. It hits Dark Falls, and Dark Falls warps away. Back inside Central City, Crawford explains this was part of the plan, and since it can't repair itself outside of Stia, it's only a matter of time until the final battle. Chapter 5 begins, and we don't have to wait long as Dark Falls does finally appear, and during this fight, Ina and Manon join the player in this battle. After a long-fought battle, it appears Dark Falls is about to escape again. This is when Crawford begins firing Central Cannon multiple times after being given the signal from Ilma. Ilma then says he's leaving the rest to the Meteorn. In this final moment of the battle, the Meteorn begins to gather power from all over. In a brief flash, Gaara appears to us, giving us a push, and using the photons gathered, Dark Falls is defeated. As Crawford thanks us, Manon looks towards the structure in the sky. In a cutscene inside that structure, a voice speaks stating a day less than 500 years have passed and the Day of Judgment is approaching. A computerized voice indicates it's about a year away. That evening, Manon leaves Central City on her own. After Ina calls in a panic, and then us calming her down, we meet with Crawford, who informs us that Manon left a wealth of information on Lucille, the structure floating in the sky. It's at this time that a new Meteorn pod is detected landing in Retem. We join Ina in searching for the pod. Joining up with Nadara in defeating nearby dolls, we find not Manon, but a new face instead. Taking them back to Central City, she tells us her name is Faria. She reveals everything happening on Halpha is an experiment to prepare for the Day of Judgment and to create stronger ARKs. Manon, at this time, is on board the Seal fighting her way through dolls to find Zeffetto. Zeffetto asks Manon what happened to 909, stating it was the closest they had come to creating an ARKS Defender Prime. RA9G3-T909 is revealed to be the designation of the player's character. Zeffetto considers himself to be the father of all in Halpha as well as aboard the Seal, and wants to see 909. As such, he captures Manon. It is revealed that Zeffetto, Manon, and Faria are part of a group called Resurgent ARKS. It's also revealed that Lucille regulates the environment of Halpha, explaining how Kvaris froze over 100 years ago after the victory against Dark Falls. Varia also reveals there's a teleporter to Lucille in Lost Central. While getting the teleporter online, Varia states Manon was to document the war between the Meteorn and Dolls, and that this war has actually been ongoing for 300 years. Though Dolls launch an attack just as the teleporter comes online, we're committed to getting to Lucille immediately rather than falling back. Fighting our way through, we come across the Dolls' production facility, along with another similar room, supposedly where the Meteorn are launched from. We also find other people on board. These Lucilians are mannered similarly to Faria, cold and unhelping. The place is also littered with the environments found on Halpha, and some very odd symbols are located there as well. Eventually, we find the control tower where Zephetto is. After rescuing Manon, she expresses that she wanted to tell us everything after Aelio Town. Zephetto then appears, and after a battle testing the party against a new type of dolls where Zephetto merges with it, Zephetto tells his system to copy the data into experimental fourth clone DNA, and then begins to reveal all. He says it's been 1,000 years since ARKS were at their peak strength, that there's a need to restore the ARKS' might lost to apathy, and there exists an enemy called the Starless. The Starless were the cause of the destruction of a fleet of ARKS research ships, along with 50 star systems and 700 billion souls. Millions of ARKS died in vain as well. But as quickly as they appeared, the Starless disappeared. People eventually forgot the attack, but Resurgent ARKS was formed to prepare for the expected return of the Starless 501 years later. Zephetto, with the body of a cast, was granted a long life and was able to oversee the entirety of the project from the start. Zephetto states ARKS are now back at their former might. Aina expresses pity that he was a pawn in his own game. However, before any further discussion can happen, a Starless attack appears, and Zephetto leaves saying they've arrived early and everything is left in our hands. They are supposedly lost intercepting the incoming projectiles. After escaping Lucille, Chapter 5 ends with the party visiting the monument set up in the Chapter 1 side story. I want to thank you for your time, and I want to thank Sega again for the opportunity to work with them in creating this sponsored video. I'm PrinceBrightstar, and if you don't know who I am, I'm a Phantasy Star series lore nerd. What we talked about today only scratches the surface of the lore of this series. I've played the games of this series from the very first Phantasy Star on the Sega Master System to the current New Genesis. If you're ever interested in diving deeper into the lore of the game, I host a series on my channel called Secrets of New Genesis, where we talk more about the lore implications and make predictions about the direction the story may go. I also have a Phantasy Star news podcast called Day Dawn's ARKS, along with various Let's Plays from the games of the series, and also a Discord, where we're constantly talking about the series. And with that said, thank you for joining me today. This is PrinceBrightstar signing off. I'll catch you next time.